Thanks for joining me as we slow down with a portion of this week's reading. Our full text this week was chapters 13 through 14. The passage we'll slow down in a bit today is chapter 13, verses 1 through 17. Remember, our goal as we approach this text is ultimately to see more of Jesus and for the Holy Spirit to interact with our hearts in the process, shaping and growing our love for Him. Before we start, consider taking a moment now to ask the Spirit to show you more of Jesus and to sensitize you to His voice. I'll read the text once today, pausing in spots to allow time for some guided reflection and prayer. Starting in verse 1 of chapter 13. Now, before the feast of the Passover, when Jesus knew that his hour had come to depart out of this world to the Father, having loved his own who were in the world, he loved them to the end. During supper, when the devil had already put it into the heart of Judas Iscariot, Simon's son, to betray him, Jesus, knowing that the Father had given all things into his hands, and that he had come from God and was going back to God, rose from supper. Pause here for a moment. Consider what it may have been like as one of the disciples around that table. You've spent 3 years with Jesus. He's your teacher. He's your Lord. You've given up a lot to follow him. But in spending so much time with him, you've witnessed his power, his wisdom, his love. You haven't understood everything, but you are convinced he is the long-awaited Messiah. So you enjoy another meal with him, reclining with him and with the other disciples. Now, place yourself at the table. Are you across from Jesus? Perhaps you're to his right, or perhaps you're to his left. What are some sounds that you're probably hearing? What are some smells that you're smelling? What might you be expecting from Jesus at this meal? Sharing maybe of some stories and reflecting on the day? Or perhaps you're expecting a teaching. It is, after all, the time of a super important Jewish holiday, remembering the incredible power and faithfulness of God in rescuing his people from Egypt. But then, unexpectedly, Jesus stands up. And this is what you see. Continuing now in verse 4. He laid aside his outer garments, and taking a towel, tied it around his waist. Then he poured water into a basin and began to wash the disciples' feet and to wipe them with the towel that was wrapped around him. Pause here again just for a moment. Everyone in the room is staring at Jesus silently. What is he doing? This is unprecedented. Your feet are filthy. They've been exposed to the dust and the dirty streets all day. And yet, you see the teacher, the Messiah, approaching you to wash your feet. What emotions or thoughts or questions does this provoke in you? Consider pausing this podcast for a couple of moments to bring these before God. Tell him what rises in your heart and pay attention to any ways he may interact with you about it. Perhaps resistance arises in you that is similar to what arose in Peter. Let's keep reading. Verse 6. He came to Simon Peter, who said to him, "Lord, do you wash my feet?" Jesus answered him, "What I am doing you do not understand now, but afterward you will understand." Peter said to him, "You shall never wash my feet." Jesus answered him, "If I do not wash you, you have no share with me." Simon Peter said to him, "Lord, not my feet only, but also my hands and my head." Jesus said to him, The one who is bathed does not need to wash except for his feet, but is completely clean. And you are clean, but not every one of you. For he knew who was to betray him. That was why he said, not all of you are clean. Pause for a moment. Does Jesus serving you in this potentially humiliating way push on anything in your heart? Do you, like Peter at first, feel any resistance to it? Or, perhaps like Peter later, do you feel acceptance of it? What about Jesus here might the Holy Spirit be communicating to you? Again, consider pausing this podcast to ask the Holy Spirit to interact with your heart here and show you more of Jesus. And now finally, I'd like you to notice anything in your head or heart that pops up as we finish our reading for today with Jesus' words after he washed the disciples' feet. Continuing now in verse 12. When he had washed their feet and put on his outer garments and resumed his place, he said to them, "Do you understand what I have done to you? You call me teacher and Lord, and you are right, for so I am. If I then, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also ought to wash one another's feet. For I have given you an example, that you also should do just as I have done to you. Truly, truly, I say to you, a servant is not greater than his master, nor is a messenger greater than the one who sent him. If you know these things, blessed are you if you do them." Spend some unhurried time sharing with God what is sticking with you in today's reading, and be attentive to consider how he may be revealing himself to you through this text.